First they laughed, then they denied, and all the while it was happening right under our noses, hidden in plain sight inside the foods we trust most. A quiet operation years in the making. And now, the name behind it all has been exposed. Bill Gates. Caught planting microchips in your everyday food supply. A paper trail of patents, research funding, and international contracts, all pointing straight back to him. This is decades of planning, quietly rolled out while nobody was watching. And here's the kicker. We now know they've already been in our food for the last 3 years. But it gets worse. Because once you see the dystopian agenda driving this plan, you'll realise they're building the prison as we speak. And the bars? They're made of data. For decades, the federal government has been working hand in glove with the global elite to conduct dangerous and often bizarre experiments on the public. Even President Clinton, shortly after taking office, openly admitted it.
In one experiment, scientists injected plutonium into 18 patients without their knowledge. We discovered soon after I entered office, the United States government actually did carry out on our citizens experiments involving radiation. Thousands of government-sponsored experiments did take place at hospitals, universities, and military bases around our nation. The goal was to understand the effects of radiation exposure on the human body. While most of the tests were ethical by any standards, some were unethical, not only by today's standards, but by the standards of the time in which they were conducted. They failed both the test of our national values and the test of humanity. In one experiment, scientists injected plutonium into 18 patients without their knowledge. These experiments were kept secret, and they were shrouded not for a compelling reason of national security, but for the simple fear of embarrassment. And that was wrong. The United States of America offers a sincere apology to those of our citizens who were subjected to these experiments, to their families, and to their communities.
After that brief flirtation with honesty, Clinton learned his lesson and never spoke of the experiments again. Meanwhile, the elite's agenda to medically subjugate the masses shifted into overdrive, and Bill Gates activated long-standing US patents to roll out his microchip army without public consent.
Some conspiracy theories are true. For example, let's say you had a friend call you up and say, I was eating at a restaurant and I found a microchip in my food. I know because I told them to leave off the pepper, but I saw a single speck of pepper, but when I looked at it closely, it was perfectly square, and when I took it home and looked at it under a magnifying glass, it was a microchip. Before you have them institutionalized, know that sometimes cheese has microchips in it. Specifically, authentic Parmesan cheese from Italy has chips embedded in the cheese wheels because they have a huge issue with counterfeiting. These chips let them scan the wheels for authenticity and also track where they go. These microchips are edible by design, and you may have eaten one in your life.
Protecting against counterfeit products is the cover story, but we know better, because they're not just showing up in Parmesan cheese. They're in Coca-Cola, they're in Pepsi, and it all traces back to a deal Bill Gates' Microsoft struck with them last year. So what's really going on? Let's go back to the beginning. It started in a New Jersey biotech lab funded by the Gates Foundation. The invention? A piece of technology so small it can be inserted into food without being noticed. They called it the P-chip, a microtransponder, first tested on lab mice. Here's how it works. The chip is no bigger than a grain of sand, just 500 micrometers across. Yet it carries a unique ID code permanently etched into its silicon core. It's powered not by batteries but by light. When hit with a modulated laser, tiny photodiodes inside the chip come to life, feeding power to the onboard circuit. That circuit activates a microscopic antenna loop, which transmits the chip's unique ID using an ultra-low frequency signal. The catch? You can't pick it up with a normal RFID reader. No, this requires special equipment, the kind not available at your local electronics store. Only the right reader in the right hands can detect and decode the data. And that's where the story takes an even darker turn. Bill Eben, Chief Technology Officer at P-Chips, let something slip in an interview with IEEE Spectrum. He admitted that these chips were funded by Gates as security devices, and that every single one you consume is logged, archived, and fully traceable. In his own words, he said, "When you put a chip on anything, it immediately has a digital twin, and then you can associate all types of metadata with it and index it forever. This is a security device. Every chip ever made is archived. Everything is traceable. The archive of every chip and what it's associated with is known and available even to Interpol. But it gets worse. Gates-funded scientists have developed a surface electrochemical actuator that turns these microchips into microscopic robots, complete with legs.
These are the legs of a tiny army of robots. So small, they are dwarfed by a single-celled paramecium. 50 years of development in microelectronics have given us a fantastic array of tiny computer systems. But that is only half the puzzle. A robot also needs to move. And now, researchers have created a brand new type of actuator which can do it, giving the tiny brains some brawn. But the new design, called a surface electrochemical actuator, can be fabricated using similar processes to those used to produce microchips. That means the tiny legs can be added directly to the devices that control them. To make the legs, a 7 nanometer thick sheet of platinum is coated on one side with an inactive material like graphene. The legs are then patterned using a technique called lithography, and the excess material is removed. The robots are equipped with 2 minuscule solar cells. By shining a laser on each one, researchers can create the voltage which activates the front or back legs. These new actuators allow the tiny circuit to move, and because they are created using the same well-understood manufacturing processes as semiconductor electronics, their production can be easily scaled, making millions of tiny robots at the same time.
The Gates-funded scientists behind these microchips claim they're serving the public good. But if that's the case, why hide it? Why keep the public in the dark? No disclosure, no consent, just quiet deployment. That's not science for humanity, that's control.
That don't need batteries and they can move it with a laser. Now they say they're using this for medicine. They're using it in the hospital, in the medical field. Now the question is, do you really think they only use this for medicine, for the hospital? They can make this joint walk, crawl, go flat. Like, come on now. If it can do all the movements, what else can it do? What, spy on you? Track you? Inject you? I'm just saying. I thought shit like this was only on movies, but now we're seeing it. It's in real life, but we're just hearing about it in 2025. So, over the course of them 3 years, what were they using this for?
The truth is these microchips are being used for nefarious purposes, control surveillance, and agendas we never agreed to. And the power? It's pooling in the anonymous, unelected hands of the global tech elite. After the break, we'll expose the next phase of their plan. The most disturbing part? They're already years ahead, quietly building the system long before anyone even knew it existed. Remember when Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla openly boasted that in the near future, we'd be swallowing pills designed to monitor our compliance?
It is basically a biological chip that it is in the tablet. And once you take the tablet and dissolves into your stomach, sends a signal that you took the tablet. So imagine the applications of that, compliance. The insurance companies to know that the medicines that patients should take, they do take them. It is fascinating what happens in this field.
After the public backlash, they quietly scrubbed it from their website and never spoke of it again. But now we know. They never shelved their technology, and it's being quietly inserted into medication as we speak.
Витамина D. Magnetus.
The list of contaminated products keeps growing, and now it even includes tea. The most disturbing part? The elite already have a plan for those who refuse to comply with their all-encompassing agenda. In the dystopia they're building brick by brick, the non-compliant won't be allowed to participate in society at all. And the ones who push back harder, they'll be locked away. Think that's just a conspiracy theory? You should know, those camps were being fast-tracked for construction during the Biden presidency, and they're designed to hold millions of people.
It's to kind of like what Nazis did with the Jews, concentration camps, processing facilities. They're going to need somewhere to process the dissidents.
That was Christy Hutchison, somebody we should be listening to very closely. Former Customs and Border Protection Supervisor J.J. Carell explains more.
Her background was federal contracting, and more specifically, abroad, but specifically, she worked on forward operation bases, FOBs, in military war zones, where she would put up these giant soft-sided facilities, water, food, et cetera, et cetera. So we're talking tens of millions, if not billions of dollars, right, that have transferred from her company, which she no longer is a part of, but she has access to all the bid contracts. You can go on a website and there are endless bids for contracts from whatever. But she's focusing in on, she says to me, there's bids for detention facilities being built in all 50 states in America. And I said, okay, hold on a second. Say that again. She says, okay, I can go into a database because my company used to bid on all this. And I bid overseas, international contracts. Very, very intelligent woman, very, very connected. And she says, I go in the database, JJ, and there's detention facility bids to build individual detention facilities in every state in the union. And then she goes on to say to me, well, JJ, who do you think they're built for? Are they built for all the illegal aliens or the unaccompanied alien children? Of course not.
How do we know they're not being built for the tens of millions of illegal immigrants who have poured across Biden's open border? Because these illegal aliens have been absorbed into the communities, farmed around the country, given free housing, free medical insurance, and in many cases debit cards loaded with cash. The government's rolled out the red carpet for these young fighting age men. Many of them were flown here by the Biden administration on secret night flights. According to whistleblowers, these prison-like compounds located in sparsely populated and controlled locations were being built for those who refuse to comply with upcoming globalist mandates and regulations regarding long-term lockdowns, new vaccines, and new restrictions on food and water.
It's not for these illegals, especially let's go off the numbers that they're telling us that there really are. They're saying, what, 11 million? In reality, I can tell you right now, with talking to all of the agents that I've talked to, private sector, looking at the cameras and all the real data, we're over 30 plus million who've actually entered this country.
Yep.
And so even with that, even though that's enough to replace about 36 states population, why would they need to continue to do that if they're trying to absorb these guys, make them productive members of our society, get them into housing, because we know that there are already housing projects being coordinated with builders, again with our money. I believe it's to kind of like what Nazis did with the Jews, concentration camps.
So now you know, the technology is here, it's in the food, and it's already tracking you. They told us it was impossible. They told us it was just science fiction, but the proof is on your plate. This isn't just about chips or data, it's about control. And control once given up is almost never returned. We're standing at the edge of a system from which there may be no turning back. The only question is, will we speak out now or stay silent until they round up the non-compliant and the prison doors slam shut? Don't wait for permission. Share this, talk about it, ask the questions they don't want asked. Because if we don't push back together, the menu for the future will be nothing but surveillance, and you'll be paying for it with your freedom.